Today, I want to share with you a concern I have that could play a huge part in the possible destruction of humanity, and my vision of how we can stop it. We have all heard that too little sleep is bad for your health, and it is, but I want to make the argument that it is a lot worse than we think and is probably damaging our future as a society. You probably already know that lack of sleep leads to an increased risk of cancer, heart attack and dementia. It is of course no coincidence that there is even a word in the Japanese language for death from overworking. It's called karoshi. But on the other hand, we hear statements like, "I'll sleep when I'm dead," and we even hear Elon Musk telling us how he sleeps on the couch and works double or even triple the amount of a normal human being, and how if we want success we need to be prepared to do the same.
Last time I was here I actually slept literally on the floor because the couch was too narrow.
Yeah, I was going to say. And Elon, I have to say, it's not even a comfortable couch either.
No, it's terrible. This is not a good couch.
This, I think, often leads to the conclusion that, sure, sleep and free time are good for you, but progress is better. Is this the right mindset? Let's do a little thought experiment. Let's say you ask a drunk person if he feels he's okay to drive. As we know, the answer very often is yes, which leads, of course, to a lot of accidents. Thinking under the influence usually leads to driving under the influence. Now, as we know from scientific studies, going too long without sleep can have exactly the same effect on your ability to drive as drinking alcohol. For example, being awake for 18 hours is the same as someone having a blood alcohol content of 0.05%, at which point in some countries you are legally not allowed to drive anymore. And here comes the interesting part. You are still allowed to make important decisions about your life, about the life of other people if you are a surgeon, about the future of humanity if you are a big CEO or one of the world leaders. If your cognitive functions are impaired from lack of sleep, I would argue that you won't be able to tell that your decisions are bad, just like the drunk drivers who think they can drive. When you work constantly and don't give yourself the chance to recover, you enter what for me can only be described as a survival mode, where your brain is so tired that it is able to do only the basic things needed to function without immediate consequences. However, the centres needed to see the bigger picture, the harmony in the world, they are fast asleep and do not take part in the decision-making process. We are conscious beings in animal bodies, and when we ignore our animal needs, we and the others around us pay the price. My point is that when people sleep less, take fewer vacations, and don't allow themselves to enjoy life, they are not only compromising their own health, but the health and well-being of others. Over time, the peace and enjoyment deprivation makes them bitter and arrogant. Constantly living in this survival mode alters their consciousness and makes them see others as enemies and not as fellow human beings. It leads doctors, for example, to stop feeling empathy for their patients and see them as another client who brings the money needed to meet the goals set by the CEO, who in turn sees the doctors not as people with an obligation to society, but as pawns who need to be pressured in order to make investors happy. The investors, on the other hand, feel completely free of any obligations and just want more profit. It is a vicious cycle in which everyone is doing more, and we, as a society, achieve less and less. I am not saying that just more sleep and enjoyment can fix this problem. In my opinion, the problem starts in schools, where the system fails to educate us on how our minds and bodies function and how to avoid the hidden traps along the way. But we need to start somewhere. And I think a good way to start is by at least recognizing that putting workaholism on a pedestal is extremely toxic, and we need to stop promoting it as a way to accelerate human progress. We all know how just one person who is burned out and constantly in a bad mood can alter the work of the whole team. Let's just pause for a second and imagine how these bad moods stack up and what enormous effect they could have on our productivity as a society, and also our ability to see the big picture. In order to succeed in life, we need to be able to see where we are going. Perhaps somewhere in the future we could be able to reach our vision to be super productive and efficient, but first we need to recognize our limitations if we want to be able to improve. Using advanced technologies, we will probably be able to maintain perfect conditions for our brains. The perfect sugar level all the time without sugar crashes. The perfect oxygen levels, perfect uninterrupted sleep, and eventually even discovering a way to feel great and function without sleep. This could be an interesting future. But until we make all those discoveries, we need to make sure we don't crash and burn along the way. Thank you for watching, and if you want our message to reach others, give us a like and perhaps share this video with your friends. Tell us what you think in the comments below, and subscribe for more future thoughts.